Magandang Umaga, Pilipinas. This is your trusted source for the latest headlines. We're coming to you live with breaking news from the West Philippine Sea. Tensions are flaring up once again as the Philippine Coast Guard faces off against a massive Chinese presence near Scarborough Shoal, or as we call it, buoy-placement. What really happened during this tense encounter? How did our brave Coast Guard personnel handle the situation? And what does this mean for our fishermen and our nation's sovereignty? We'll break down the events, analyze the implications, and hear directly from the people on the front lines. Stay tuned, because this is a story you need to hear. The date is November 25, 2025. It started as a routine patrol for the Philippine Coast Guard vessel, the BRP Teresa Magbanua. Their mission to ensure the safety of Filipino fishermen in our own waters, specifically around the traditional fishing grounds of buoy-placement. But what they encountered was anything but routine. On the horizon, not one, not two, but a swarm of over 30 vessels. These weren't fishing boats. They were identified as Chinese Coast Guard and maritime militia ships, forming a formidable and intimidating blockade. According to the official report from the PCG, their vessel was immediately shadowed and challenged by the Chinese ships upon approaching the shoal. Radio challenges crackled through the air, with the Chinese side claiming jurisdiction over the area and ordering the Philippine vessel to leave immediately. Think about that for a moment. Our own Coast Guard, in our own exclusive economic zone, being told to leave by a foreign power. This wasn't just a simple encounter. It was a direct challenge to our sovereignty. The PCG stood its ground, responding calmly and professionally, citing international law and the 2016 arbitral ruling, which clearly states that Scarborough Shoal is a traditional fishing ground for Filipinos. Let's paint a clearer picture of what our Coast Guard faced. Imagine being on that ship, surrounded by vessels larger and more numerous than your own. Reports from the PCG describe dangerous maneuvers performed by the Chinese ships. They were boxing in the BRP Teresa Magbanua, cutting across its path in a clear attempt to intimidate and force a retreat. These are not the actions of a friendly neighbor. These are calculated provocations designed to assert control and deny us access to what is rightfully ours. Commodore J. Terriella, the PCG spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, stated that these actions were a blatant disregard for the Convention on the International Regulations for Preventing Collisions at Sea, or COLREGs. This puts the lives of our sailors at risk. This isn't just a story about ships and seas. This is about people, our Filipino fishermen. For generations, they have relied on the rich waters of buoy-placement for their livelihood. But now they are being harassed, blocked, and driven away. We have reports of fishermen having their catches confiscated and their boats damaged. The presence of this Chinese armada effectively creates a wall, preventing our countrymen from feeding their families. The PCG's mission that day was to protect these fishermen, to show them they are not alone. Despite the overwhelming odds, the BRP Teresa Magbanua conducted patrols as close as they safely could. A symbolic act of defiance and a message of support to our fishing community. The actions of the Chinese Coast Guard and maritime militia have not gone unnoticed by the international community. Several countries have already expressed their support for the Philippines, reiterating the importance of upholding international law, particularly the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS. The United States, through its Department of State, has reaffirmed its commitment under the Mutual Defense Treaty, stating that an armed attack on Philippine public vessels, aircraft, and armed forces, including those of its Sea Coast Guard in the South China Sea, would invoke U.S. mutual defense commitments. This strong statement adds another layer to the already complex geopolitical situation in the region. So, what is the Philippine government's next move? The Department of Foreign Affairs has announced it will file yet another diplomatic protest against China's aggressive actions. But many are asking, is this enough? Diplomatic protests have been filed countless times before, yet the harassment continues. Defense analysts suggest that the Philippines is pursuing a strategy of transparency, using high-resolution photos and videos like the ones you're probably seeing on your screen right now to expose the bullying tactics to the world. The goal is to rally international support and apply diplomatic pressure on China to abide by the rules-based order. This is a long game, a battle of narratives and international law. This incident on November 25th is not an isolated event. It is part of a pattern of increasing aggression and a strategy known as gray zone tactics. These are coercive actions that are just below the threshold of an armed conflict. By using their Coast Guard and maritime militia, which are technically non-military vessels, China attempts to change the facts on the ground or, in this case, on the water without triggering a military response. They are slowly, methodically, trying to enforce their illegal and expansive 9-line claim over the entire South China Sea. Every blocked fishing boat, every dangerous maneuver, every radio challenge is a calculated step in this strategy. The question for the Philippines and its allies is how to counter these gray zone tactics effectively without escalating the conflict. The courage shown by the men and women of the Philippine Coast Guard cannot be overstated. Outnumbered and facing constant intimidation, they continue to sail these contested waters, flying our flag with pride and determination. They are the frontliners in this fight for our sovereignty. Their professionalism in the face of provocation is a testament to their training and their dedication to duty. They are not just patrolling, they are defending our nation's integrity, one patrol at a time. It's a David versus Goliath situation, and our Coast Guard is holding the line with incredible bravery. As we wrap up our report, the situation in the West Philippine Sea remains volatile. The swarm of Chinese vessels continues to linger near Scarborough Shoal, a constant and visible threat to our fishermen and a challenge to our nation. The Philippine government is now deliberating its next strategic move. Will the strategy of transparency and diplomatic pressure be enough to deter future aggression? Or is it time for a new approach? One thing is certain: the resolve of the Filipino people and our uniformed services is being tested like never before. What happens in the next few days could very well define the future of our sovereign rights in the West Philippine Sea. We will continue to monitor this developing story closely and bring you the latest updates as they happen. What specific new strategies might the Philippines deploy in response to these gray zone tactics? We have some insights on that. Make sure you resubscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you won't miss our next report. Thank you for watching. Ngit po kayo.